So I heard Mark Frommeyer invited you to go ride an Arcimoto because he's in LA, right?
Dude, I'm officially an Arcanaut.
Do you get a hat or a T-shirt with the
Oh, I don't
Arcanaut?
know what you know. You get like wings. You get
Post.
100 shares. You get 100 shares.
Yeah, I wish Mark gave out 100 shares.
He was out here in LA at the Hotel Shangri-La, and I finally got my hands on one of those things.
Well, what's the
Well,
overall opinion? Has it changed?
it has changed. I think we should talk about that. That's why what I did was I took the videos that I shot that day and clipped them into sections. I almost don't want to hype it up because you haven't seen this footage either. I feel
Right.
like you can go along on the ride with me and just we can stop it and we can talk about it or talk about it after the section's over.
Before we start, please hit the like and subscribe because we have an interview
Yeah,
coming up.
if you're an FUV fan, hit the like and subscribe button. Help us push this video out.
And also, we have an interview coming up with a NeoVolta CEO. So you gotta hit
Brent
the bell and get
Wilson.
notified.
Brent Wilson's gonna visit, and we're gonna get into it with him as well. So let's just start watching some videos. All right, so I got to drive an FUV, man. Finally, here's the FUV. It's a little smaller than I thought it would be in person, but it feels beefier, if that makes any sense. Mark just left, but he rolled up in this guy. This is the Roadster. So I basically get my pick. Got the FUV, the red Roadster, or we go all black everything. The jet black Roadster.
Ooh, that's a nice one. Those vehicles look really cool. Like, yeah, you know, you took
Right?
videos around it, and honestly, that is that like with paint jobs or is that the decals they had?
It's a really nice clear coat paint job, like you'd
The
expect to see
Roadster is a great
on a
paint. What I'm talking
95.
about, the FUV, the actual fun utility vehicle. Is that a paint job or is that
That, oh, you know what? It's a good question. That could be decals on black
ah,
because that whole bit down here felt like plastic.
got
So
it.
this here, it could just be like a skin. Like that could be one of the ways that they skin it, right? They give you a decal pack and you can customize it for your company. They didn't seem as out of place as I thought they would seem. Like I felt
Right.
like they would just look weird there, but I could see them being commonplace.
From watching the video, obviously I was not there, but it looks really well built. It looks like it's solid. I mean, even the chairs look comfortable. Am I wrong? Are they comfortable?
I mean, I drove a Jeep Wrangler for like 7 years, so this
Right.
was,
So
this was
you're used to not even having seats.
right, or having kidneys from just feeling all of the vibration. But yeah, it wasn't
Well,
anything that was like impressive, but it also didn't detract.
what about the build quality in terms of like the actual metal frame or whatever they have? I mean, it looks pretty solid from just your images.
It's solid. It definitely felt more mechanical than I
Right. It
had.
doesn't feel like a Tesla, obviously, like a computer
Yeah,
on
it felt
wheels.
like you can see that this is built, man. This is
Right.
not,
This is built
you
by
know,
people.
it looks like it should for the price point and the use case. My only exposure to three-wheeled vehicles like this were the Polaris Slingshots that they're talking about, and they're really
Right.
expensive vehicles. So I could just be biased.
Actually, how much is a Polar? I don't know how much that is.
It's gas powered and it's also rear wheel drive. This is the
Oh, got it. So yeah, it's like a sporty type of ice vehicle, basically, a three-wheeled ice vehicle. Okay.
yeah. Okay. Starting at 19, 24, 31, 37. So their low end is where Arcimoto peaks out.
Yeah, I look at that vehicle. I don't think the same audience is trying to drive the FUV as that one, but maybe the
Why not? You
Roadster.
can, what do you mean? You can't see Domino's Pizza? Slinging pizzas at you.
Yeah, totally. Where's the oven in this puppy?
Right?
Have you sat on this guy too on the Roadster at all? Did you actually sit on it?
No, I didn't sit on this one. I didn't sit on this one, but he did tell me that most of the parts are the same. They carry over. Like obviously this is leather trim, a little more cushy, but
Right.
this, I would imagine that this feels exactly like the FUV did. I just sat in it and drove. There was other things I reacted to a lot more strongly. So who am I here with?
Hey, Jess Jessup.
That's Jess?
Drew Garrettson.
Drew
Ray Nichols.
of Arcimoto.
And
We're
Ray
about to do my first drive in the FUV. To start your vehicle, press the brake and squeeze the startup buttons.
The machine is based off of motorcycle controls. On your right foot, whereas on a bike that might be the back brake, that is the hydraulic brake.
Okay.
That's the only thing that actually physically stops the machine. You have a little trigger here. This is the regen brake. And it's got a very progressive feel, so you can really control your rate of deceleration with that. Twist throttle, just like
This
a
is a
motorcycle.
twist throttle, okay.
This is a red kill switch. We won't be needing that today, hopefully. This is just neutral, forward,
Got it.
reverse.
Okay.
Horn, hazard lights, and turn signals left and right, but they're not self-canceling, so after you complete your turn,
You have to
remember
switch
to
back.
push that. We've got controls for windshield wiper and wiper fluid, front and rear heated seats, heated grips, defrost, parking brake, which is really the thing we use the most, And then these are some future features we have not yet programmed just yet.
This is traction control. And what's this?
That's probably going to settings function.
A settings thing, okay. And then this is what? Looks like M1 for investing.
Right.
If you want to invest, here, M1 button, throw a couple $100,000 into FUV.
Those buttons, were they hard to use while driving?
This was one of those things that I felt strongly about before seeing it in person. I felt like, you know, for 20 grand, it should have more of a tech feel, that this sort of instrumentation should be more digital. It should be a touchscreen. But in reality, when you're in this thing, there's so much feedback from the elements. It just doesn't make sense to take your eyes off of the road and sit down and mess with a touchscreen, especially with other conditions like sun and glare on a screen. If you've ever had that where you're trying to see a screen, that could be life and death in a vehicle like that. And so it did make sense that they would have the buttons in a way where you can feel what it is without taking your eyes off the road. You just reach down, feel which button it is, you turn it on, and it's done. Think about it as a bike. I walked away from this thinking, this is a bike. Like, they built a bike. People are comparing it to cars. It's a bike.
Right, it's a trike.
At the end of the day, yeah, it's a bike with two front tires. That's also front wheel drive and all of the benefits that happens. But the frame of it, the skeleton of it, the spirit of this thing is a bike. The tech of this is more the use case in the future, but the bike itself is not necessarily high tech. So now part 3 is the ride. Now we're going to ride this thing. I'm now in the driver's seat, as they say, in the Arcimoto. There we go. Okay, we're in gear. Here, then we'll go backwards. Oh yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take a right.
Yep, that's awesome.
Yep.
FUV coming. Okay.
Yes. So yeah, you're gonna want to learn that throttle control. It's pretty precise, actually. It's slow off the bottom, but then it really.
But then it picks up. Yeah. Right. All right. So let me get my turn signal going. Woo!
I think he's already having fun.
Well, one thing I really like about it is I like the sound of the motor.
Yeah.
Like I like that. I like hearing that. I didn't think you would hear it as much. I thought it'd be quieter than it is, but I like that. He told me it was like 1,900 pounds, but it feels a lot.
1,300.
1,300. Okay, so
all
even
that weight
less.
is really low. It's right between your.
That's
ankles.
the thing. Yeah, it feels really. It feels really planted. A lot sturdier than I thought it would, especially with that third wheel. You know, you catch a turn the wrong way, and that was a concern. I gotta say, just as we're talking, I'm surprised at how little the exterior sound gets in. I'm surprised at how little like the road noise and the sounds of the cars is interrupting our conversation, just like you said. I definitely feel the two-stage power. I mean, I asked Mark what the top speed of, say, the Roadster was, and he said it's like what is it, 0 to 60 in 10, but you can do some software to get it down to like 8 seconds.
Yeah, I think I've tried the Roadster, and I think I've gotten to 0 to 60 in probably about 8, under 10, but more than 8.
Because it does feel throttled up to like maybe 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, the very initial bottom end, and that's just about the way the acceleration curve is programmed.
Okay.
And that can be adjusted in software.
It really does feel fast. Like, I feel safer than I thought I would at like highway speed, or even with all these cars around me. Hey, we can say hi to a Tesla. We just passed the Tesla, gave it the little nod, you know, the little zero emissions nod. What's up, buddy? It is a lot of fun to drive. I mean, I have to say, it's a lot of fun to drive. It's a different experience. It's certainly not a car, and it's not a bike. I don't know if you can hear it, but the motor has a really nice sort of whine to it. It's like a turbine, and it's very rewarding. It's as rewarding as a gas car. Stamp the foot down, and you hear that motor roar up. I like that sound, and it's got a cool whine too as the regenerative braking kicks in. What's the top speed of this?
Officially on paper, we say 75 to 80 because those are the legal posted limits.
Which means 95 to 100, but you didn't hear that.
I have not yet encountered another employee who's had it over 84. I've had it over 83.
Over 83.
I've had it up to 83.
83. That's gotta feel like 160. Because the effects of the speed are easily double. I would say I wish the mirrors were a little bigger. Not gonna lie.
I know a lot of our customers have also benefited from the rear view camera.
Yeah, like a rear view camera or bigger mirrors. All right, so now I'm just opening the throttle. We are at, wow. It's fast. This thing is fast. That was 50 miles an hour.
I can't help it. Every time somebody hits the throttle like that, I have to laugh.
You have to laugh because you know what's
fun.
coming. Well, you know what it is? It feels like it still has more.
It does.
Like,
Keep going.
like I feel like it's just this car in front of me.
The only problem is the guy in front of you.
Yeah, but it definitely feels like it has more in it.
at 45, 50 miles an hour. It feels like it has more, and I do feel like I'm being throttled. What I would say is, I mean, if you could have profiles, user profiles,
Right.
hey, I'm coming in, I'm an advanced user, maybe you give me access to some extra features, some more power. In eco and a sport, just even if it's just that. But I feel like there is a serious market to race these things, man. Like seriously race these things.
The company has no official position about e-motorsports.
Right.
I personally have a tremendous interest in e-motorsports.
I mean, I think that that's part of how you grow this. EVs just destroy their gas-powered equivalents, right? So you get this thing on the road and you have a couple of those videos going viral, and it's just another way of getting people in the tent because this thing is powerful. Initially, I had concern about the analog, like, instrument cluster here, where I said, oh, you know, like, it's a lot of buttons, right? Maybe you want it to be all digital. But like feeling this now, just having to keep your eye on the road, especially in this vehicle, I can see why. Without, you know, looking down, without taking your eyes off the road, you can turn on whatever it is you need. 20, 30, 35, 40, 45, woo, 48. Recharge some of that juice. And I really like that sound, man. I really like that sound, like the motor. So the sound that I'm hearing now, the air, is that the brakes? Is it pneumatic brakes?
That's the sound of the brakes and the rotors grinding a little bit. A lot of people have made comments about the sound of the brake rotors rubbing.
Yeah.
What people don't realize is that they're most of the time inside their car.
Right, you're
exactly.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna say you're like you're right there. So you really feel there's like 3 levels of acceleration here. It's like from 0 to 20 is like one level. And then there's definitely like a snapback that kicks in at 20 miles an hour that takes you, I mean, literally, it'll take you all the way through 50, but I haven't had enough room to see like when I feel like it sort of plateaus. Brakes are pretty responsive. The brakes are a bit hard to push, I'm not gonna lie. Okay. The turning radius is a little, I don't know if I'm doing it hard enough, but it feels like it's a little shallower than I expected.
Yeah, it's got a bit of an understeer because it's
Yeah.
heavy up the front.
Okay, is that what it is? Okay, because I feel like I want to steer more and it won't go.
Yeah.
And maybe when it's tilting, that'll help.
Yeah, that'll be a completely different experience.
Okay, now we're open. 53. The brakes work.
Oh yeah, stops great.
The brakes definitely work. And it didn't even skid. That was like 60 to 0 in like, I don't know, 50 feet.
Fast.
Like I'm not worried about it skidding. I'm more worried about understeering. Okay, we're at 45 miles an hour now. Oh yeah, see now I have to let go of the throttle because I physically can't steer enough. Like I feel it fighting me to go. The steering does really
pushing on one side and pulling on the other.
Yeah, I literally was what my body weight, but it doesn't lean, but it's just an instinct. All right, so I haven't felt it slip. I haven't felt it skid out. I'm at 53. I'm at 60. 66. I feel like I put it into neutral by accident.
You did kill it though.
Oh.
With the red switch there.
I'll put this-
Red switch down.
I'm at a red light, man. Right
Well,
there.
pause it actually. Wait, so you can kill the while you're driving, you can kill.
You can kill the entire car. Yeah, the entire thing. If you flip that switch, the vehicle
That's it.
shuts off.
Everything is dead. Right. I'm just saying, like in the middle of you going 60 miles an hour by accident, you hit that
Oh,
switch.
in the middle, yeah.
It just turns off.
I'm assuming the brakes aren't going to engage, and you'll just go. It'll
You
just
you
be
just
rolling.
coast. You'll coast.
Yeah, but I can't stress enough. It's really hard to steer. Anything you've ever had that had handlebars, when you leaned, it leaned. So this thing, you just instinctively try to lean it. It's accelerating, and some sort of centrifugal force pulls you away. I mean, look, that harness is strong and it's got you, but it's still an uncomfortable feeling, right?
Right.
It's
Well, you're not
not-
supposed to be turning big turns at 45 miles per hour. You're saying if you're trying to do a
No,
big
but I'm saying even coming down that area, it was like a slight hill or like a downgrade in Bel Air. So it was like just, nice sort of smooth, windy streets. At that speed, its turning radius just does not line
So
up with.
is this a power steering type of thing that they're working on? How are they going to fix this if
He
it is hard
mentioned-
to steer?
I think I actually start talking to him at this part of the video.
Yeah, I hear all the whirling noises of the motors, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds almost like some sort of jet engine outside trying to.
Literally, I gotta say that was something that it is awesome. And now again, it might not be for everyone. Like I can't imagine my mother liking that, but my
Right.
mother also grew up on ICE vehicles and will expect any vehicle to create a loud sound that changes in pitch with acceleration. Like that's what she's used to. In a Tesla, you might not hear that, right? Also, it's a dual motor vehicle, and you can see it has open fenders. So the motors are venting in the air. The motors are venting. I personally like it. I think it's awesome.
Right.
I think
To me, it sounded fine. It was just weird that I haven't heard that in any video before, that it's almost like a jet engine starting.
How do you not put that in all your videos? Like,
Well, I think they want to make the
what-
EVs look all
listen,
quiet.
that's fine, but if you and me
right?
get our hands on a production contract, you better believe the first video is about that, you know, a jet and then an FUV being cross-cut as
Right.
you see this thing like powering up. It's just
Yeah,
a really cool
and then the
feeling.
two of us with Top Gun glasses walking.
Top Gun glasses, yeah. I feel
Yeah,
the
slow
need
mo.
for speed. Well, I can see that they're not trying to push this thing as like a speed freak vehicle because it is open air and it is more dangerous.
And the
Yeah.
roll cage, did you not feel like you were snug in there, or is it like you're very loose in sort of the
No,
seatbelt?
you're snug in there and you don't feel like you're going to fall out. It definitely does lend itself to the feeling of security because you're tied to the frame, right? You're literally strapped to the frame.
Right.
There's nothing more secure than that. But in the back of your mind, you know that if that FUV does cross that lane and hit you, it's hitting your body. But
You're
again,
wide open. Let's face it, you're basically on a bike with a roll cage. That's what you're
this
on.
is why I say yes. This is the realization that hit me is like you're on a bike. This is how bikes work. And so this is an advanced bike with 3 wheels that's more stable, that takes a lot of the stuff you don't like about bikes out of the equation and like kind
Right.
of tries to maximize the fun stuff about bikes. Like it has a windshield so you're not getting bugs and stuff in your face, right? It's got, you know, the sides covered so you feel a little bit protected. The 2 seat belts, you feel attached to the vehicle, you know?
Right.
Carries over a lot of the good things that people tell you about bikes or you think about bikes, but it makes it in a way that, you know, anyone can enjoy it. Like you can easily access it because you don't have to worry about a special license or even a special suit. Like in California, you don't need a helmet
Right.
with an FUV. Now that's a game changer because
Right.
if you have a Roadster, you have to have a helmet, and that's
Right.
going to automatically make you feel like you're on a bike because there is no roll cage. There's nothing. As a matter of fact, there's like nothing holding you to that vehicle. It's like a bike. It's a 3-wheeled bike.
Right. The noise in the cabin, right? So
Yeah.
you said you can have just a conversation as you were going 50 miles an hour. You can totally clearly hear this person.
Kind of project your voice a little
You- you
more.
s- but you could have a conversation in this thing traveling at 50 miles an hour. That's what
Yeah,
I'm getting
no,
at.
traveling at 50 miles an hour, you can have a conversation.
Just to make sure, guys, this was only recorded on an iPhone, the new one.
Oh,
but
yeah, this whole thing
it
was,
was not mic'd.
it's
Nobody was
literally this
mic'd.
phone.
Right. Nobody was mic'd. So this is the sound coming from the vehicle and from everything around you.
If you're in this vehicle and you have your phone in that position, then the quality of my voice is what a FaceTime call would be.
Right. We did find out a piece of information. It goes faster than they're telling us. That's kind of cool. So,
This is the thing. I thought it was 1,900 pounds. It's not. It's 1,300 pounds.
right.
This Roadster not having any of that frame he said it's not even 1,000 pounds. That 300-pound difference is huge.
I
The
think
motor-
basically this is a 100-mile-per-hour vehicle. They just want to make it safe so
it's
it
gotta
doesn't
faster.
go 100.
Listen, it's got to go faster than 100. It's gotta go
Interesting.
faster than
Okay. Interesting.
It's
People,
gotta.
be safe. Don't race your Arcimotos.
But the thing is, the top speed,
Don't
honestly,
race your FUVs.
listen, the top speed doesn't matter as much as the acceleration. You start off and you feel like you're throttled from 0 to 20 miles an hour.
You have to go a little bit harder because you
No,
can't.
meaning
it's-
like whatever, when you gun it, it's like it's just got this curve that it's going to
Oh,
repeat
okay.
every time.
It's like a slower curve to ramp you up.
It's a
from
slower
0 to
curve to
20.
ramp up. Like when you first get it into gear, it feels like it's a 2,000-pound vehicle. So it's just like going. And
I
then
see. As
at some
opposed to
point they
like a Tesla,
release-
you step on the gas, it like
It's
just
instant.
takes off.
Okay, put it like this: the power that I felt after 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If you put that in a Roadster with 300 less pounds and no roll cage, nothing, and you gun it, I could see how that bike would just go flying and you would literally sit on the
Yeah,
ground.
you'd be
Just-
gone. Yeah,
It would just,
you'd fly off the bike.
it would, yeah, or either you fly off or that thing is gone. It pulls. And this is with another person in the vehicle. If he was in it, I'd feel it less because again, at this weight, every 100 pounds or so, you feel it. So it surprised me how much power it is.
Yeah, I agree. Like, obviously, I think Mark and the team at Arcimoto don't want to show that this is like a race vehicle, like you guys were talking about, but it would be cool to see like a little bit of commercial by Arcimoto, like two
Listen,
guys
man,
racing
we're
their
a small market
FUVs.
cap.
No,
We're a
but hold
small
on,
market cap
racing their
company,
two
man.
FUVs on a track.
I mean,
Uh,
you got to flex it. You have to flex. With
They
what
should
you
flex,
have.
right? They should
You have
flex.
to flex, and they really got to race these things, man.
Like, I have a Model Y. I'm not trying to go 3.2 seconds or whatever, 0 to 60. I don't really
You're
care.
not, but you're not.
But it's
they-
cool. It's cool that I can. That's all. Mark, you should race them. But what is that car that we showed in the beginning of the video?
Oh, the
That's-
Polaris.
They should beat that car.
Because I asked them, I was like, "When's the tri-motor of this coming out?" Like,
Mm,
because we've only got 2 motors in the front, but you got a wheel back there
right.
that needs another turbine.
That Polaris would be completely dead, by the way.
It would be
Like,
destroyed. If this thing
totally
was, if this
destroyed.
thing- it would be destroyed. I can't
Mark,
imagine.
please, let's see the FUV race a
Let's
Polaris
see the
and
FUV
kill
race
it.
the Polaris. It would smoke it.
How about an FUV tow a Polaris, just like Tesla did with the Ford?
Well, yeah, we'll do a tug of war. If you want to really go bold, call out the Slingshot, call out the top of the line Slingshot.
Right, exactly.
The top of the line Arcimoto Roadster, because let's be honest, the Roadster is not the one you're going to get groceries in. That's the one you're riding for the sake
I
of
agree.
riding.
Right.
And if one of those Slingshots pulled up at you at a light, Mark, you tell me what you would do if one of this Polaris,
right?
This is their most expensive one, 25 grand, logistics surcharge, bum bum. I think we should start a hashtag for this thing, because I think if the fans want to see this top of the line Roadster against the top of the line Slingshot, CEO versus CEO,
that would be a great competition.
Dude,
yeah,
that would be like pay-per-view.
I'll pay $10 to see that.
I'll pay $10 to see Mark on the top of the line Roadster go against the CEO of Polaris in this Slingshot SL.
It's a good idea to destroy another competitor, just like Tesla does with every other competitor, and then they basically show how like we can destroy any vehicle.
Just dominate. Right? It just dominate. Yeah. Here's what we've got. These specs for the Polaris. It's got 178 horsepower at 8,500 RPM, 120 foot-pounds of torque.
Well, what is an FUV? I don't even know what the horsepower is on that.
Top speed is 75, they're saying. There's no way that vehicle's top speed is 75 miles an hour.
Right.
There is no
90, 100
way.
plus, like you're saying, right? No, accept the cookies. You have an accept.
Yeah, I'm not going to accept it.
Oh, come on.
I don't want cookies. I'm hungry. I don't want cookies. Each of the Arcimoto's front wheels is powered by its own motor. Together, the motors deliver 81 horsepower.
So maybe it cannot compete with the Polaris if it's the horsepower is only 80. Half of the Polaris is basically.
No. But the big thing is weight. He told me that it was 1,000.
About right, 1,000. Under 1,000.
It's 1,000 pounds. Now the Slingshot, 1,700.
Okay, so it's 70% more weight. Once again, I don't know the math for which one's faster.
It's 178 horsepower pulling 1,800 pounds, or 81 horsepower pulling 900 pounds. Because
is it just a ratio? I'm not sure how these mechanical systems.
That's what it would be. No, that's what it would be, because the horsepower is.
So it's almost.
Seems like it's close.
It's close. I'm not sure which one. The Polaris still seems like it has an edge in terms of horsepower, but once again, the acceleration on this thing would probably destroy the Polaris. And well, this is going to be the Polaris. He starts the thing, the engine takes 5 seconds to roll, and the FUV's already at the finish line.
Okay, so this is when I accidentally shut it off. I got to the light, and as I was just taking my hand off, I just flicked it. And the thing is, it didn't give me any warning. It didn't flash a light. It didn't say anything like whatever, kill switch engaged. That it should have said that. That was a moment when, look, I'm in the middle of Bel Air, and it was not like dangerous, but that is an example. If you're at the bottom of a hill around a curve and you get stuck, if you accidentally hit the kill switch, somebody coming around might not have time.
Yeah, it's too easy to hit that switch. That switch should be located a little bit away from you, I feel.
Well, I asked him why, but it's actually required by law. It's required to be there. So again, this is where
maybe you need a kill switch by law. Is that what you're saying?
You do for a bike.
Okay.
I feel like I put it into neutral by accident.
You did kill it though.
Oh,
the red switch. There. Red switch down. That just back to neutral. I'll put it in gear, and now you should be able to go.
Okay, that's cool. Oh, I hit that by accident. That's scary.
It's a safety feature that's required by the government for motorcycles.
Okay.
It's got dual motors.
Any plans to tri-motor version of this?
There's been some conversations about putting a hub motor on the back. That would be my suggestion if they want to make an off-road version.
The one thing is, yes, that low-speed steering is something you've got to get used to.
So we are really close to releasing the torque vectoring update. So that'll be a software update that will allow, that's going to really fix that problem. I got to test drive a prototype of it on the trip down here. The wheels will turn independently of each other.
Okay.
Right, and it's all controlled by computer based upon a bunch of input factors.
Right.
So it's going to help you at low-speed turns. It's going to help you. It's going to stiffen up at high speed. It's going to make the whole thing. It'll be like a really nice controlled, power steering system with some traction control integrated into it. And yet you won't need a power steering unit because it's all going to be software driven.
I had to stop it there because that to me was the gold in this whole video, and the whole time I was with him, that was to me the gold. That is incredible. Normally in a car, you have a power steering pump that creates power that amplifies the movement, a mechanical movement. And if you've ever had an old car and the power steering pump went, trying to turn the wheels. You are physically turning the wheels with all the weight of the car. It's helping you to steer it, and it creates that nice smooth feeling. This doesn't have that. So you are literally turning the wheels. Now, granted, it's only 900 or 1,300 pounds, but at low speed, trying to make a quick like back and forth, it is so hard to turn. If you want to sell this to people as like their recreational vehicle, I don't know, maybe they'll get used to it.
But is it like, is it like that? Like trying to turn something is like, you got to use all your force.
Yeah, you're like, ugh.
It's because you're literally turning those wheels with all the friction on the ground.
The earlier part, he said part of how they designed it. Now, you would know this like engineering wise, right? The two front wheels with the rear wheel in the back, 60 or 70% of the weight is moved to the front. So he says that's why it feels like what it does. It kind of feels like one of those segways.
Yeah.
This really nimble thing. There's no weight on the back.
Everything's, you're sitting at the front, so all the motors are in the front, everything's there.
Everything's in the front. The batteries are under your seat, all the motors are in the front, and then you see behind you there's nothing back there. And if he wasn't there, or if it was the Roadster, there's literally nothing back there. It's just a platform, right? And he said they measured it so that it was almost like the third leg of an easel. It was barely accepting any weight. Granted, that's great, but when you're steering this thing at low speed, now you're moving, almost 1,000 pounds, and you're trying to steer it in a way. And keep in mind, this is again, this throttle being on your right hand while you're trying to do a slow turn. So you're doing a slow throttle to go slow while pushing as hard as you can. Those are like, some muscle groups are firing at full power while other ones have to be feathered. The car ends up jumping on you, or you end up not pulling it at all, and you end up being in neutral. It's just uncomfortable. Now, granted, that was my first time riding it, and I don't have too much motorcycle type experience. But what he said is they're going to do torque vectoring to the wheels. So they're going to allow them to spin at different speed. Now, anyone that's had a four-wheel drive vehicle, like in my Jeep Wrangler, if you put that in four-wheel drive, the axles are locked. So when you make a turn left, for example, the inner wheel is traveling much less of a distance than the outer wheel. And so the inner wheel ends up skipping as the outer one comes around, and you're twisting the axle, and you could break the axle. And that's kind of what you feel in the Arcimoto. It's like you can't turn because that inner wheel is just demanding to spin, to rotate the same.
Well, the radiuses are different from the circumference that you're making, obviously.
What he's saying now, they're going to have control of the two individual motors. And as you go into one of those turns, instead of having it be power steering or like a differential, which is what they have in the back of cars, it's just going to be software that sort of feathers the power out of one and gives the other one more power so it can come around. And he said that's going to help you in low speed environments, meaning it could detect at low speed with a sharp angle of turn to amplify the effects of the throttle. This is, I think, genius. That is such a smart solution. That's like to me, a Tesla level solution to a problem. The best part is no part, right? Elon says that all the time. It's a software update, he said. It's a software update. It's not even part of the, it's just literally.
I understand, but I'm saying, I don't know if they're like busy working on that right now, as opposed to trying to build a factory. So that might be like a laggard in terms of fixing that for them. Well, I think so.
From the conversation with Mark, it doesn't sound like every single person in the company is needed to ramp ramp up. He's got the resources there, but we still need to move forward with other things. And he has a team, a software team, that is working on the acceleration curves, possibly. I don't know if they're working on it, but I mentioned to him that it'd be good to have user profiles or even like an eco sport. Because what they're doing is they're doing the 2-in-1 shampoo of acceleration, right? It's not super fast,
right,
and it's not super slow, but it doesn't do either one.
We want the chill mode. We want the chill. What's the other mode that the Tesla has? The
eco. Oh yeah, ludicrous. You want to go up to ludicrous, right?
No, but there's a chill mode. There's like a medium mode, and then there's like you don't care about your life.
right. You don't care about your life. These are things. Okay, I'll give them a little slack on it, but now that like it's being brought to their attention, they have to move on these things. These are really easy things to implement, and these are things that really affect the way someone experiences this thing. Like even in my car, I have 4 types of driving modes, go, sport, and comfort. The comfort is what they're looking for. Anyway, the fact that they can dial the stuff with software, it's an easy fix. But I was so impressed that was their solution to the problem. Coming from what I've said in the past about it feeling mechanical or the product feeling mechanical, that is a really smart way to fix that problem.
It's the benefit though. It's the benefit of putting separate motors for each wheel in the front.
Okay, and so compared to, say, the Roadster, how does that compare in terms of specs for this one?
Basic underpinnings of all the vehicles, the same chassis, same battery, same motor, same everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, hop back on these. They said that was very specific due to
Sorry.
That was me cutting someone off because I was trying to steer and stay in my lane, and I
Right.
cracked into his lane.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to set the stage, we're coming off of a highway and we're making a left-hand turn onto the PCH. So it's a 90-degree turn. This is not a really sharp turn. This is an average 90-degree turn.
And it's hard, like you're saying, even when you're moving like at this 10 miles an hour, 15, it's hard just to turn this left.
At slow speed, it's hard to physically turn the wheels. But what I'm saying is, like,
Right.
it's not a turn that the Arcimoto can't make. You know that as you add speed, even if you're turning, it's going to widen the radius. So what you end up coming is, if you come into that turn too fast, you need to control the speed, because at the maximum radius that it can go without sliding, you could be going too fast and you'll go right into the next lane.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
And that's what happened to me. I went right into that lane and the guy
Right.
honked me. And
Right. Well, which you deserve technically, but then he goes a little bit crazier.
yeah, but it was also my first time driving it and I didn't realize.
Right.
But it's like, that is something where I was scared shitless for a second. You're in an open vehicle. You piss somebody off and they get out of their car, you're getting punched in the face. Like,
Oh,
you're
right,
getting,
right. You can't roll up the windows.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
you just got to keep a bat next to you.
you're just, yeah, dude. Like, you're getting punched in the face.
I can't.
Deliberator benefits from a little bit of aerodynamic enhancement, because this back seat being open on the sides like this kind of acts like a little bit of a parachute back here. So you get a bit of drag from this open back
You ever
end
think
like
of
this.
doing like an open mesh? You know, that open mesh, like the Herman Miller air-on chairs,
Oh,
where it's not actual fabric or anything, it's just the air passes right through it?
they probably would consider doing something like that.
That would
They-
get
they-
about the best of both worlds.
All right, this is important, okay? The back seat of the FUV acts like a brake, because if you don't have a person in there, it's just catching wind, right? And so I said, have you guys ever considered, look, I sit in a chair all day. I got this chair. It's a Herman Miller chair, okay? You see this chair in every post-production facility in LA. Now, every single one is going to have this exact chair, or like the newer version. It's a mesh. It's the most comfortable chair I've ever been in. You could sit in it all day. There's no pressure points. It's really breathable because it's a mesh, and it's incredibly less heavy. I said, have you guys considered using a mesh seat
Right.
instead of having all this cushion and all this stuff? Now, granted, you have to have controls for heated seats. I get that, and that's not going to be possible. But look, maybe it is. Maybe that's a place they can advance and make a mesh seat that gives them the benefit of the reduced weight and the increased aerodynamics, and still gives you a heated
Right.
experience. Like, I could imagine they can run coils, right? Like you do. Remember the wind in the back rear window? Maybe you run coils through some new filament. Get somebody on your team researching that, because that saving in weight is speed, it's efficiency, it's range, right?
On their site, you can customize the FUV in a lot of ways. I'm just wondering if you can add that to the list of things that they would do. Like, oh, you don't want this chair? Fine, we'll give you another chair. We don't give a shit.
They could totally open this thing up to like third-party
Oh, yeah.
performance.
Oh yeah,
Open
absolutely.
this thing up, but like, they need to lead the way. They need to make one, like, they need to make one that's like, okay, guys, we'll never sell this vehicle, but we're making the most badass Arcimoto.
Well, no, having the
big markups
enthusiast,
on that stuff.
having the enthusiast market is important. Even Tesla
Yeah.
has an enthusiast market, right?
And you can't really do much to a Tesla. Teslas are just so dominant. That Model S Plaid is so dominant out of the box. And I think this was intentional on Elon's part. He didn't want people tinkering with the machine too much, because now
Right.
you're getting into a computer, and that's when shit blows up, and that's when it's terrible. So he said, we have to be the company that makes it so badass that people just buy it, go to the track, and blow everybody away. Take 3 weeks and have them make the baddest ass version of a Roadster, strip it down as low weight as possible, and make this thing like a real speed demon that's fun to drive and maybe has some like maneuverabilities, because I don't know what their competition would be other than a Polaris.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can really use just the regenerative braking to do everything.
Yeah. Yeah, if you control your throttle and your regen, you really never need to use it, except, like I said, to hold yourself from rolling. A lot of our customers and a lot of EV owners have just made a real craft out of it.
Oh yeah, I'm so like on it in terms of when to release the brake so that it can regen to the point where you just need to stop the car, and you also want it regenerating as long as possible.
Right.
You don't want to brake hard because you're losing time in regen. So
Yeah.
I've gotten.
We're talking there about just how that flow that you get into, and you know this now that you have an EV. There's that flow that you get into when you're coming up to a red light. You release your accelerator way earlier than you did in a gas car. Now you're letting it slow down. So all you do is just give it the last bit to brake. With this regenerative thing, having that on your finger is pretty cool. It is really cool that you can control that. It's so, and it's that is a really feel that has a really nice feel to it. Like you're throttling it in and you feel yourself like just making it feels like you're making the car heavier, you know? It's way more aggressive than anything I felt in a Tesla or even the Leaf. It's like really aggressive. The closest I can compare it to is, I don't know if you've ever been in a Jeep. When you're going downhill, you downshift and you put it into like first gear. They call it engine braking. The engine itself is holding it so that it slows the descent of the Jeep downhill, because the engine's absorbing all of that energy. And so it has that same feeling of like an engine brake, but it is so powerful that it can actually stop the car.
That's
and then
cool.
all you do at a red light is just tap the brake so that it doesn't roll back. So you capture all of that energy. Something. Parking brake.
Sounds like a landing carrier.
Ooh, that was fun.
It's awesome.
That was fun. I definitely got to say I'm a believer. This is it's way different when you drive it than when even you see people driving it. It's something that you really should experience. I think if people experience it, you have a whole different feel on the product as well as the company. Like, I can see why you guys are pushing so hard to get this thing to scale and get it out there to as many people as possible.
So there it is. Get some B-roll. See, this is me just like, this is admiring the craftsmanship. It's a really nice vehicle to look at. Like, I could see if this thing was adopted, you could do some really cool paint jobs with it. There's a lot of like aftermarket parts I could see people doing with this thing. These mirrors. Now, what I did with these, see how the mirror gets like dirty?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Like, that mirror is not helping you, man. That mirror is not helping you see. And then you get glare from the sun.
That's a pretty dirty mirror, right?
You get glare from the sun because you're outdoors.
That's definitely an aftermarket upgrade. Like, yeah,
it's just off the shelf. And look at it compared to the size of my hand.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
It's like
yeah. Now that you're comparing it to your hand and how dirty it is, just by driving it for like 40 minutes, I don't mind replacing the mirrors.
Yeah, you can, but I'm saying this is just like, we're being critical of it, right? Look, at the end of the day, like, you know, you would say, well, what's the main conclusion? Like, at the end of the day, I'm more bullish about the product. It's super fun, man. It's a super fun thing, but there's just so many things that are they're fundamentally at odds. Like, for example, it's a really fun vehicle, but most of the places you're going to drive it are streets. So it's a really fun vehicle that you're forced to drive with all the rules of a car. I don't want the rules of a car in this thing. I want to just go, you know, and so I don't know, you know, like, I don't know if that's part of what the FUV park that they're saying they're going to do, where you can take them out there and really have them flex.
I don't need a giant vehicle everywhere I go. And it's true. I drive pretty much an SUV everywhere I go. Okay. So I would buy this for that simple fact that I have trips that my wife makes me go on. She makes me go get some groceries. And you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe I stop and get a sandwich in the FUV. It just sounds like a pleasant experience. That's what I'm getting at.
And you're absolutely right. If you're of the income level where you have a vehicle that you have as your everyday thing, for right now, I feel like
it's definitely a luxury item. I agree.
It's a luxury item. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, the Polaris is a luxury item too, right? And I would say the FUV has way more advantages to it than a Polaris.
Well, I am going to add truck nuts to the FUV.
Swing it off the back.
That'd be funny. That'd be flexing. Yeah.
I'm so torn on this vehicle, because I'm thinking right now, like, that was really fun driving in Santa Monica.
No one's buying this as their primary vehicle. Well, let's face it. FUV is not a primary vehicle. I know Mark has one, obviously, as a primary. I'm saying, but the rest of America is not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm buying it as a tertiary vehicle.
This is me trying to picture like what, how would this thing fit into my life, right? So if I got one of these, it was really fun driving around Santa Monica. I'm not gonna lie, that was a lot of fun being out there.
Oh, that's like a perfect environment.
But I live in Northridge and it's like 20 miles away. So am I really gonna drive that vehicle 20 miles so that I can drive it 5 miles and enjoy it? No, I'd want to tow it.
You go get coffee, you go to Starbucks, you go have a meeting somewhere close, 15 minutes away.
But doing that alone wouldn't be enough to justify it.
Well, like, I don't think it'll be enough to justify $20,000.
But even 10, honestly, even 10.
Okay.
Like, again, I bought my Jeep to enjoy it. I drove it around all day. But I needed that weekend to go do what it does in its element. But my thing is, I don't know what the FUV's element is.
FUV, you're right. It's a luxury item for certain people. I agree. So, but the thing is, per year, is there not 10,000 of those people that will buy an FUV? Like, we're not talking about 1 million people or 20 million people.
I really think there is.
So let's bring it back to money.
Yeah.
Freelancer finance. If FUV sells 10,000 or more of these, deliverators, whatever, you first respond, whatever, combine it together, our stock will skyrocket. That's my bull thesis. If Mark survives,
the whole space, yes.
if Mark could get it further, obviously, and do the 50,000, 100,000, million, great. That means we are like, we're living on an island. That's what that means. Okay, let's face it. But over 10,000 vehicles a year, I think me and you have done really well. And everybody's watching this has done really well in Arcimoto.
I'm torn between what the investor and the consumer in me. Like the consumer in me is like,
no, this is a hard buy for just a 10
you know?
plus thousand. It's a hard buy. Even for me, I had to think about it for now investing in Arcimoto and meeting Mark. Now I'm like, I feel like I'm part of it. So I'm like, you know what? I would spend 10 to 20,000, honestly, for something I'm part of. I spend it on the stock. I spent it on a Tesla, more than that, obviously. So I feel like if I'm part of it, and that's the thing about early adopters, right? So we're trying to make this work. Yeah. And I don't mind buying one to try to make it work a little bit better, because that'll help the company too in some small way.
It definitely changed my mind in the sense that I thought I would never be a customer for this. You know, if I have my 2 vehicles and I got my solar and I got everything and I got 10 grand laying around with a tax break like that, I would pick one up. It is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun, but I feel like I would want to go somewhere with it to do something specifically for that thing that I don't know where that is yet. I guess the ending would be the overall conclusion. It made me more bullish on the product, but I still feel the same way that I feel about the company and the steering. At one point, I just need to make this point about the steering. Get rid of this handlebar thing. Get rid of it. Make it fly by wire. In the same engineering that you're using to do torque vectoring for power steering, put a steering wheel in this thing that lets me drive it with either hand. I don't want to be doing this, because otherwise it's a bike that doesn't lean.
They do have the leaning Arcimoto that they might, I'm sorry, the leaning FUV that they might be developing, right?
I get it, but that's if we're waiting 2 years for this one, you're talking about it's so far in the future. It's not even worth talking about. But like, this is a really simple thing to fix, and I think would eliminate a lot of mechanical parts and weight. Put this thing in there, get the same team that's doing this thing, put a nice, cool, comfortable steering wheel in this thing.
Or what about that half wheel that Tesla's using in their
That's what I was just going to say, make a few different options. And even if you want, for the purist, put a handlebar thing in there, but still make it fly by wire. Do not make it mechanical. Make it fly by wire.
Right. I do agree with the fly by wire. I don't know why it would have to be mechanical except to save money. So maybe Mark could answer that at some point, why they actually did that. Let's end on a positive note.
A positive note. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than I thought. I was more impressed with the quality of the bike and the build quality. I was more impressed with the appearance of it at the curb. It's really nice vehicle. Even the Deliverator, which is a more just strictly for utility, it just looks like a nice vehicle. And I could see, once you get a bunch of these out on the road, the overall fear level, right, of getting hit by a Suburban would drop down because everyone's at your level. It's a good product, and I do see why they're trying to push it out there. And if we did adopt it, right, if we just magically, all the demand is there, like as a country and a society, we're better off. Like, we're better off. It's a good move for us. So there's benefit in it for us if they succeed. It's just, they have a lot of challenges. And as long as you're okay with that, just go along for the ride. For the record, I don't want to paint a picture like I was a bear on FUV. I'm really skeptical of my investments. I never want to be that guy that has the confirmation bias. I try not to. And so I would much rather say I have a bull case for it, get into the stock, but then be extremely bearish to look out for anything to protect the investment, right? And so, yes, in the past when we've talked about it, since you're overly bullish, you're just like, I feel like maybe that's why I take a bit of that role sometimes. But in general, I love the company. I love what they're doing. It's an American company. They're all really good dudes. And, I want them to succeed, but there's a fine line there between like wanting them to succeed blindly and throwing all your money on hope and saying, this is my family's future that I'm trying to invest in, and I need to know if it's going to do what I need it to do for my family.
The problem comes in, what you're saying is if you put too much money in.
For me, the way I look at it, this is one of those stocks where I don't see any incremental levels between success or failure. It's maybe
you're saying basically it's either success or failure. And I agree with you, at least in the next 2-3 years, at least that.
And when it happens, when the success happens, it's going to be huge, like instantaneously. It's not going to be something you have to ride. One catalyst and it shoots up the next day. This is not an incremental. This is one day you hit the lotto.
I love the setup basically that's happening. I love the vehicle.
Oh yeah, right.
I'm going to buy one, but I also love the setup that the shorts are going to get. They're going to get that comeuppance.
Get crushed.